national issues, issues that concern Nigeria and also that of Ogun State can be heard on the Periscope. The Periscope on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio with the host Fisayomi Ajibola every weekdays, Mondays to Fridays, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You won't want to miss it.
A beautiful morning to you. Once again, the 10th day in the month of July 2023. Of course, it is start of a beautiful week, and I'm sure that, of course, we'll have a course to enjoy the rest of the week. Welcome to Periscope on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. And on Periscope, this is where we dissect and, of course, we bring to the front burner different topical issues where we discuss and, of course, also would allow you share your thoughts, your submission, and your opinion concerning the different topics that we'll bring to you every point in time on Periscope. So welcome to Periscope once again this beautiful Monday morning on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. My name is MODUPE AKINYOSOYE. All right, so the point of discussion this morning, for those that have been following the media during the weekend, of course, you get a memo that the former governor of Ogun State released recently. And of course, the Nigerian senator, Benga Daniel, a former governor of Ogun State, has brought to the front burner of public discourse, a conversation which surely must be uncomfortable for his colleagues who have benefited, for those who are still benefiting or in line to benefit from double pay to the detriment of the Nigerian people. Now, what did Daniel do for those that have not been familiar with that? Daniel has asked for the suspension of his pension as a former governor while he serves and earns in the Senate. So in a letter that was dated 14th of June, Daniel said receiving pension as a governor and salary as a senator is against his moral principle and ethical code. Now, I would like to quote him directly. The letter read, and I quote, "I write to request for the suspension of my monthly pension allowances of 666,376 naira 1995 kobo being paid as a former executive governor of Ogun State. And this request is in compliance with my conscience, moral principle, and ethical code against double emoluments that a serving senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who hitherto was a former state governor, shall not be entitled to the payment of pension and allowances from such state. It will be recalled that on Tuesday, 13th June 2023, I was with other elected senators and members of the House of Representatives inaugurated as members of the 10th National Assembly, and it is pertinent to also have it on record that since I left office in 2011, I have not benefited from any welfare packages, be it medical, furniture, transportation, etc." Now, end of quote. Now, while these have actually been faced with several reactions from citizens and from the people, the populace, so to say, while some have been saying it is commendable, is a commendable gesture. Some have been saying, okay, why is it commendable at the expense of, the current situation of the country? Why didn't he tell the state government to stop it even before this being a senator and all of that? And actually, this especially considering the times with an already, impoverished Nigerian populace asked by the government of, President Bola Tinubu to make, sacrifices, following a spike in the cost of living, precipitated by a hike in petrol prices, and of course the outcome of some of the action that have been taken so far. And of course the reduction in the purchasing power of the average Nigerian means the searchlight has been turned fully on government officials. And of course, many have called for a reduction in the cost of governance, from pruning the number of aides to slashing the number of cars in the gas guzzling convoys. Others have asked government officials to take a pay cut. Now, it is against this backdrop that Daniel's letter gained traction after he published it on his Twitter accounts, which have definitely for the several reactions and all of that. Now, we will be definitely looking into the different sides to this. How this is commendable, how this could be a step to, okay, cutting cost of governance, how it could be worthy of emulation, and all of that. A lot of things, of course, talking about true leadership, talking about transparency, talking about even players, political players in our country at the moment, and even at the expense of other political office holders that are also benefiting the same this same emolument. All of this is what we'll definitely be looking into, and of course, to be a very interesting one, you will definitely encourage, and it will be a pleasure when you drop your comments, your submissions, of course, your opinion concerning this issue this morning on Periscope. And joining me in the studio, I have Ernest Nwokolo. He is a political pundit, he is a social commentator, and of course, he is a seasoned journalist at that. Good morning, Ernest.
Good morning, David. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Ogun State. Good morning, our beloved listeners.
Good morning. All right, of course, I'm sure that you are very conversant with the letter being wrote by the former governor of Ogun State and, of course, the current senator, Senator Gbenga Daniel, and, of course, saying that the Ogun State government should suspend his pension as the former governor while he serves and earns in the Senate. Now, I want us to consider his reasons, first of all. He mentioned that, okay, that it's in compliance with his conscience, moral principle, and ethical code against double emolument that a serving senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who hitherto was a former state governor, shall not be entitled to the payment of pension and allowances from such state. What's your overview of this?
I will see from the perspective of being respecting the position of the law. It has nothing to do with morality or conscience-wise. It's not doing any benefit to anybody. It's only obeying the law.
The law.
Because in 2017, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project brought this thing to limelight. When it's called that Nigerians, after some of them have served as governors, some of them proceeded to the Senate, the National Assembly, to become senators, and they were receiving a benefit or maybe
severance,
allowances benefit from being senators, at the same time getting severance allowances, pension, many other things as governors. Meanwhile, some of them were equally involved in designing what should be their benefit on leaving office as governor. So it turned out that in some states like Niger Delta states, some of them were getting something humongous, whereas the citizens were complaining and they were still complaining. Because of that, SIRAP took the federal government to court in 2017, asking the federal government to stop, not only stop further payment of such severance package to the governors who became senators, and also to recover the one they have taken before the institution of that particular case. And that case dragged on till 2019 when a judgment was actually delivered on it in Lagos by the Ikoyi Federal High Court. So that was what stopped it. So if he had, whether he had written or not, it is incumbent on the city, any sitting governor whose past governor have not become a senator, to stop further payment or severance package to that person. So, because that would be to double emolument. So, that was what happened in his case. I think the only thing we should pay attention to in that his letter is that he brought the issue of the fact that he had not been getting any allowances, be medical, furniture, transportation,
and all of that.
and he's entitled to something. I think that is the area he wants us to know. That was probably what informed that letter.
Okay.
That he used the opportunity to bring that one. It was silent almost to the tail end of that letter. He brought it forward. That item that I have not benefited from any packages, be medical, furniture, and many other things like that. So that was the thing we should know. That although they have been a senator now, I am no longer entitled to collecting pension or other one from them. But however, while the period I was collecting lasted, this aspect of it, I didn't benefit from it. I think that is what we should pay attention to, and be also asked why. How come the one that succeeded him, that is Senator Bikula Amosu, and the current one, also why he had not paid him during his own first term, or whether he had not paid a few months after he had gotten to this second term. So that is what should engage our attention.
Okay. Talking about the engagements of our attention, you said, of course, making us know or understand the fact that he has not been given, he has not been entitled to some allowance that he is supposed to be entitled to. Now, in the face of cost of governance, I was listening to a report on this same issue from an analyst talking about, sacrifices. Talking about political office holders, that the constitution should be designed in a way that when someone has been in office for like 4, 8, 12 years, that is enough to back out of power and allow. Of course, it doesn't show that he's the only competent person to hold that position. Now, I'm bringing that to the face of the cost of governance. And we all are Nigerians, so to say, are calling for a cut down on the cost of governance.
Yes.
Now, talking about the entitlement, these allowances that after his governance in Ogun State, he should be entitled to allowances, furniture, and all of that. Are those things not still the kind of cutting down of cost that we are talking about?
It forms part of cutting down cost, but we are still evolving. We are not yet there. With time, if you remember, part of cutting down this cost now that, for example, the post of president and the governor, you can only serve out 2 terms. Once you have done that, you will never do it again in your state or at the national level. So that means also cutting down cost of taking care of one person. So unlike what obtained in some country where somebody has been around for as much as 20 years, decades, so which is not good. They are sort is become a drain on the pulse of that country taking care of such person, and that apart. So if you also look at it in the area of maybe some people at the National Assembly, State House of Assembly, it's got that is the area where now they put constitutional bar, say you can only go maybe at a particular, after maybe about 4 times, maybe 3 times. That is about 12, 4, that is 12 years. You should step down for others to go in. So until, because when it comes to National Assembly, State House of Assembly, it will put a limit that you can continue to go as much as your people keep saying represent us, because it's about the electorate. So they have not fixed time frame for that, and when they can only say before you can become a member of House of Assembly or whether state or national, but they did not set limit of how often you can be there. So maybe until there is a constitutional provision amendment in that direction, we should leave it at the way it is. I think the area where we should talk about, before you can cut down the cost of governance in Nigeria, we need to also educate maybe 90% or if not possible 95% of Nigerians to be able to make informed decisions regarding who should represent them at every level. So because Nigerians, you tend to compare them to make decisions on governance system and during the election. So you compare them. when you are a politician coming to a venue to project his agenda for the people, he had to force people by way of persuade them. He will pay transportation, he will hire the venue, all this to go the job for them to listen. At the end of the day, he also paid them going back home. We need something ought not to happen. Because, in fact, in some developed countries, citizens on their own voluntarily make that sacrifice by paying to attend, to listen, and also contribute to help him beat down the cost he's bearing to make himself available for elective offices. But here, it is a burden. It is the reason you see Nigerians here, political office, people seeking political office, sell land, sell existing houses, take up loans, and engage all that kind of commitment ahead of when expected victory. So when the victory eventually comes, it's called that they end up beginning to pay back in one way or another. So this informs why there's corruption, or that after serving them, they will not determine what we get after, because they know to be out of power in Nigeria is almost going to Siberia, a period of a desert where you will lack. So it is the reason people want to remain in power, or they make provision for themselves so large enough that when they leave power, they will still be economically relevant and not dependent.
All right. You earlier mentioned that what the action from or the gesture, so to say, from former governor is in accordance to the law.
Yes.
Now, it's like, because the comments, some of the commendable comments that I've been getting from people is that, oh, is a good gesture, showing ignorance that we don't know that it's even in the law. Because according to Serap recently, because Serap also reacted to this, urging some of these senators to disclose the total amount of life pensions, if any, that have been received from their states. And also he said, Serap said that lawmakers' constitutional oath of office under the 7th schedule of the Constitution of Nigeria 1999 as amended requires to publicly reject and return any pensions. Then I will quote Sarah. He said, public function means activities in the public interest, not against it. The alleged collection by former governors of life pensions from their respective states amount to private self-interest. It is also detrimental to the public interest. And according to Sarah, collecting life pensions as former governors while in the Senate would clearly violate constitutional provisions and amount to taking advantage of entrusted public positions. Now, we still have senators that were former governors, ex-governors, and they are still, of course, they are still receiving pensions, and of which, according to the law, they are not supposed to. They are supposed to publicly reject. Yeah. What do you think of that? Don't you think that we started with responsibility to hold this and make sure that these people are playing to the tune of the law?
You discovered that someone has suggested in the past that if you want to hide something away from Nigerians, you hide it inside the book, that they may never discover it, because they will not open it to know what is there and stuff like that. So it also applies to our law. We don't read, we don't ask questions, we are not aware. So politicians are doubly aware of this, our ignorance, and also not acting upon the little we know about. So chances are that some state governors are still paying their predecessors who are now governors, senators, or were governors before. So, and haven't done it. So they also know largely Nigerians are not aware. So even though they are aware, they cannot initiate action against something. So that is the problem. So it's not
what agency? Because of course, like you said, we don't read, we are not conversant with the law, with even our constitution. If you ask average Nigerians now what our constitution entails, they might not be able to. But we have bodies that are meant to come give us and enlighten the public Nigerians on the laws of the land and how the bodies that should take up the responsibility of sanctioning anybody that is going against the law.
So, yeah, we have that. Before I dive into that, let me also let you know that is why, personally, when people are calling for restructuring this and that, what we have again is not working, it is not true. We have not even exhausted all that we have in our constitution and in our laws. So we have even 25% of it we have not explored it to where we now, because yes, it has served our purpose, it no longer serves it. Let's put in place a new one. No, the issue is that we have not even gone 50% of them. For example, look at these issues of don't pay any governor, somebody who has been a governor later become a senator. Severe pension for him or her, don't give any further allowances. But it is happening because they know we are not aware. Even though we are aware, we are not doing so. Who should actually do this? One of them is the media. The media practice have been the watchdog of the society. It is not performing this role enough. So, secondly, opposition political parties. This should form the reason for also opposing. You oppose constructively, not out of mischief. They should be able to find out whether the sitting governor is paying his predecessor, who is now a senator or a member of House of Rep, or even a minister, serving as a minister with the federal government, and is still collecting severance package from the state. Opposition party in that state ought to find out and use it to attack that party in power, that the party is wasting the resources of the state. Opposition parties, they are not doing that. Then you see the law enforcement agencies. Particularly the police and the DSS, they are also empowered. That is even their responsibility. Because when you want to do what they call, if a governor or president is sending names forward to lawmaker for approval as commissioner or ministers, they do what they call check, and so many areas. So they ought to have also perhaps a particular person nominee is taking double emolument, both. So they should let us know whether they have taken in the past or present. So it is also their duty. They should do that. We also have public complaint commission. And this is also where the public should also, if you know about it, complain, go there to complain and see what will happen. Then the what is it called? Freedom of Information Bill. Nigerians should also make optimal use of it to ask questions of their leaders, demand accountability. So recently, a professor in political science and international affairs, Professor Femi Badejo, he delivered an inaugural lecture recently at one of the universities around here. So he said that one of the things that is fueling all this extra costs or even corruption is because there is no clause in our constitution that grants us access to the declared asset document of our past leader, whether governor, senator, or anything. Because somebody can say, for example, he cited a particular state where somebody there say he has about something trillions of naira. Whether it is true or not, we don't know. And sometimes they may put it that in anticipation of what they will make before their tenure winds up. So by the time they winds up now, and it actually now come back to through his trillionaire, when you begin to approach, say, I have declared it even 4 years ago, that I became even poorer serving my people. So the professor was saying, let there be a provision for it. It is not just about declare I have houses in a Kuto, I have in a Toku, I have in a Ijebu-Ode, and I also have a council. We should go and verify that house in Ijebu-Ode, the one in Kuto and the one in Toku, whether they are there and they are what. So that if after 4 years I have added something else to it, we'll be able to know how I have increased over time. So, but here we don't know. They only just declare it and submit to the very bureau, public, the appropriate quarter there. That is all that we hear. So when they are also finished, they go there and tell them, nobody find out whether there is variation or a tallies. So whether somebody has become more become wealthier being in government or not. So we should do all of these things are opportunity for us to check, but we are not making, there are institutions to check this thing, but we are not making good use of them. So we have enough structure, we have enough to, but the action is not on our own part. So we are being distracted, we pursue irrelevant things, frivolous things, leaving the main issue unattended to.
Talking about accountability and transparency, because to some extent, they believe that, okay, this is a form or a level of transparency, so to say. Benga Daniel coming out to say, oh, okay, I don't want to be entitled to my emoluments and all of that for whatever reason, and all of that he wants us to think it is, and of course, which some people know that it's in accordance to the law, but some will say, okay, it's a level of transparency and all of that. What would you like to say? And even the level of transparency in governance in at state levels and also federal levels.
You see, this is our own peculiar case in Ogun State with what when gathered later. Personally, the way I see it is I don't see it as a moral thing or conjure anybody doing anybody a favor or showing exemplary this thing. It is about obeying the law. That is one. Secondly, you should also discover that it is being driven by the political situation in Ogun State in particular. So, he has not, for example, he has been paid, meaning he has been paid the real pension that when he has been receiving, but not the furniture, medical, and transportation allowance, and other, etc., etc. So, he didn't complain during his the immediate, the particular one that succeeded him. And he waited until when the relationship with him and this one are not that smooth as it used to be. So I also have reason to suspect he was also acting not to be preempting it, so that in case he is demanding it and the person may use it against him also politically, that having been senator, he still wants us to pay him his money. So it's about tools. Once you have it.
So you're saying it as a political move?
Yes, to also stop the other person from also using it as a tool against him. Because if he now pretend that let me still allow this salary to enter, because the government may not know early. And some of these things might have been programmed from the accounting unit. So once the money comes available for all of this, they'll begin to pay to give a structure to bank, begin to pay people who need to pay salary, pensioner, this and that. So the money may move into that direction. So, and government can use it against him. So he too can, given the circumstance of what the prevailing political circumstance in Ogun State, so it can be used again. So he acted fast enough. That is the way, personally, I see it.
Okay, of course, it's Periscope on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio, and we're discussing the letter that was written by the former governor of Ogun State in person of current Senator Benga Daniel, and of course the controversy that has been trailing that particular letter. Now, we have been able to establish the fact that this is in accordance to the law. It's not like it's an exemplary or extraordinary action. For those that are still getting it to date, and of course those that they will still be appointed that they will still get, what should be the line of action to the appropriate agency or body that should make sure that this the law is being obeyed?
This is the time now to trigger actions across the state. It is the time for citizens of each state to begin to ask questions and demand the right answers from their governors. from their senators.
Okay.
For example, people who have been, maybe somebody has been a governor and he's been made senator or minister or ambassador, and he's receiving money for serving in the current position, and also receiving civilian package and other allowances of being previous office occupier in the state. This is the time to find out whether such a thing is happening, so that the person should be compelled to return everything. Also remind the person that he's even acting in contrary to what had been the position of the law in that direction about double emolument.
All right. So you mentioned asking questions, and of course, you know, what else are the responsibility or duties of the people now, the populace, especially at the state level?
Yes.
Because I think that is closer to the people.
Yes.
You know, in compelling the political players, in making sure that they act according to law, and of course, showing the fact that or not acting out of ignorance, the fact that the people know the law and the political office holders should act according to the law, holding them by their hands to act according to the law.
You see, so there is this position in the fact that wickedness does not deliver those given to them. People hardly give up what they are habitually up to. So you also need to apply some level of force, the force of the law, to compel the person drop this kind of behavior, drop this kind of action or habit. So in this case, and that's why of all NGOs, I have higher respect for SIRAF. It has been fighting in that direction, being the watchdog, compelling government, holding them accountable, putting their feet on fire to do the right in terms of accountability, being accountable. All of, so if now is if in a given state, if people in a given state cannot take up that action, it is the duty for now, if they know, to also bring in SIRAP to assist them. So it's important. We should also begin, the media too should be up and begin to ask questions, both from the person who was once a governor and later become a minister at the federal level, or ambassador or senator. Now you are a senator. Are you still receiving salary allowances, being a former governor of a particular state? We need to let the person openly say so, either yes or no. So these are part of the ways we can begin to cut down cost of governance, and at the same time enthrone accountability, transparency, and even quality governance, so that we're able to have enough resources, conserve it, and channel it to the right sources, particularly assisting the poor, the vulnerable, in the areas of helping their children to have access to quality education.
All right, quickly before we round it up, also something just struck me concerning the preceding government or incumbent governor that is meant to, you know, of course, this severance or emolument is being taken care of by the present administration to pay ex-governors. Don't you think that they are also started with making sure that the law or the things that are embedded in the law are followed to the letter concerning ex-governors? When it is in the law, it's stated that ex-governors are not supposed to, you know, get some emoluments, so to say. The present governor and the coming governors, are they not supposed to make sure that these are looked into?
That is, you see, it is very difficult for anybody to stand in judgment in his own case and issue verdict against himself. So the governor.
No, I don't mean when they are in administration. I mean, Benga Daniel had been in office since you know, and of course the government that succeeded. That succeeded. I'm talking about government that succeeded is government making sure that this is in the law, and we are supposed to follow this to the letter, and make the maybe accounting department or accounting units to make sure that there are some activities that, or some money that should be going to a particular person, they should stop that because according to law, it shouldn't be done.
Yes, they ought to do that. So that is where the issues of transparency comes in.
Okay.
Sometimes, like I said earlier, they act on the basis that we are not aware. One, that if we are aware, we are not likely to take action. So that informed why there was what looked like nearly jubilation, as if Bengadene had done something unusual. No, he's only been say, let me obey the law, lest someone use it against me if I go contrary to it. He was only being concerned about what will happen if, so more so when the relationship is not that smooth. So that is it. So we may not hear about that in other areas, but this is an opportunity now for us to begin to ask questions and demand the right answer.
All right, so just running it up. What's your advice? What's your parting shot? And in coming years, and even this new administration for the next 4 years, making sure that this work, because you like it or not, the backlog, or so to say, the result of the action that have been taken so far has not been quite, encouraging to citizens of the country.
Nigerians should be up and doing regarding being aware of the provisions of our constitutions and the laws, and also relevant agencies, individual organizations should also try as much as possible to also enlighten Nigerians about their rights, their responsibility, what they should expect from government, and what the government should also expect from the citizen. And this is the way to move the society, move the nation forward. There should be proper accountability, transparency, and governance. The citizens too, we have obligation towards the government. The government also equally have towards. So it is it's like two hands washing each other to come out cleaner. So that is the type of relationship we need to move our governance to a higher level and also make our society better.
Thank you so much for coming around this morning. I have to release you because you have other engagements. All right, so that will be all this morning on Periscope on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Of course, you've been listening to the voice of Ernest Nwokolo. He is a social commentator, of course, a seasoned journalist, and of course a political pundit right here. My name is MODUPE AKINYOSOYE. Of course, we'll appreciate your comments, appreciate your submissions, and of course your opinion just under this video. Just try make sure that you can definitely always drop your comment right on our YouTube channel, and don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Thank you so much. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Good morning.
Slowly at the top. Money on my mind. Don't care what they yarning about me in particular. Out here on the road chasing my dream because I know I'm chasing for me. Ololola de mango my love. Borokota idisho my love. If you want to let Jack come alone, no define anybody. Na money I want. No they hear what people they love. Want to get a shakeleti love. This is love when I wanna get another one. I go take and do it in I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love. I go do what we done my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Ginger. But when I know the waste time. Mr. Money Ginger. Just carry on, there be no time. Bad boy day, me I dey fine. And at the same time, me I dey high. But to the top, stand out, calm down, you go dey fine. Like fine wine, no decline. Sick about it, extraordinary things. Show me love, I go show you more. Bo sheshe, ọmọ yìí don teja, ṣerékélé, mú fọ́ fàyè, mo ti fọ́ fàyè. Olóládé máa ń gbọ́mọ lọ, kọ̀rọ̀kọ̀tọ̀ ìdí ṣọ́mọ lọ. Ẹ fi wọ́n sílẹ̀ jẹ́ kó máa lọ, no dey find anybody, na money I want. No dey hear wetin people dey talk. Wọ́n ti gbé àṣàkẹ́ létí lọ. Sí love when I wanna get another one, I go take and do wetin I love. Wetin you love, oh. No be wetin I love, oh. Wetin I love, I go do what we done my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Ginger. But when I know the waste time. Mr. Money Ginger. Slowly at the top. Money on my mind. Don't care what they yarning about me in particular. Out here on the road chasing my dream because I know I'm chasing for me. Ololola de mango my love. Borokota idisho my love. If you want to let Jack come alone, no define anybody. Na money I want. No they hear wetin people they talk. Want to get a shakeleti love. This is love when I wanna get another one. I go take and do wetin I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love. I go do what we done my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Ginger. But when I know the waste time. Mr. Money Ginger. Just carry on, there be no time. Bad boy day, me I dey fine. And at the same time, me I dey high. But to the top, stand out, calm down, you go dey fine. Like fine wine, no decline. Sick about it, extraordinary things. Show me love, I go show you more. Bo sheshe, ọmọ